Thank you. It's like, that's really bad when you don't know the red is turning it on. All right, so I'll start off with the subcommittee on House Bill 1079. We had one meeting, and the concern that came up was that the bill itself set a line in the sand, which is July 1st, 2025. Anything before July 1st, 2025 that is a non-conforming structure that you want to convert into an ADU would be shielded from setback and lot coverage as long as you could show that you had gotten permission to build it either by your community or by variance. You would be allowed to actually do it. The question that came up was that what happens after 2025? And so anything that after 2025, we now know that the ADU statute has gone into law, so you would be allowed to build a detached ADU. So you would know that when you're building it. The hope would be, from a cost standpoint, as you're building that thing that you're going to convert, that you kind of do the rough framing in of it and have it kind of ready to hopefully save yourself money. But in 2025, we passed a law, and that is that from the time you get your building permit, as long as you can show substantial completion has occurred, you are shielded from changes in what we just said for 7 years. And so what we referenced in the amended version of this is the after July 1st, shall receive protection from future zoning changes in accordance with RSA 674-39-2, provided the structure meets the time periods for reaching active and substantial development in RSA 674-39-1A and substantial completion in RSA 674-39. So this would bring the ADU shielding would be in compliance with anything that you did. And so if you wanted to go into perpetuity that's protecting you from changes, then we should probably look at the broader law, which affects anything would be shielded. And we've had legislation talking about down zoning, and I think that's something that we're going to have to address in a separate bill next time. The other thing that we did on here, the last part, and this is just trying to really, I hate to be paranoid, but this is really protecting the property owner's rights. And that would be as if you had a garage and you want to convert it into an ADU. We're trying to prevent the municipality saying that you're doing a change of use, and that when you did the change of use from a garage to ADU, your non-conformity protection would no longer apply. So it's just a safety, an additional piece of safety. And so those are the two changes that we agreed to. So since there's two of us, I'll make a motion that we approve amendment 0823H, I guess, as presented.
I second.
Okay, so the motion,
I second that.
motion made by Howland, seconded by Aaron, and I guess all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Oh, you're on the committee too? Okay, that's, I can ask for that. So motion passes 3-0, and we're done.
All right. Alan, do you want to get started on ours? We do snow removal. Oh, Aaron's here. Perfect.
Yay, okay, I think that 1450, we'll save snow removal. We'll save snow removal for the end and end on a pleasant note. So I'll start the subcommittee session on HB 1450. We left with asking the Property Owners Association and NHLA to submit an amendment to deal with the issue of splitting up a tenancy where they could evict a bad actor without having to evict everyone, which is something we all agreed with. We did get that amendment. It does do the job. I found an issue where it essentially, the possibility, I think we were all presuming, and NHLA confirmed that they hadn't thought about this other issue. We were all presuming that this was an issue of roommates, where the roommates just want to replace this roommate and it's a bad roommate. But the agreed upon amendment between NHLA and the Property Owners Association essentially allows the eviction of, say, a husband, leaving the rest of the family behind, for example. It splits up the family. And so what I asked for over the weekend was in a little addition to say, give the remaining good tenants a 14-day window to agree to leave the lease with the person being evicted, so that the family could go, if they didn't want to be split up, the family could go together without the rest of the family being on the hook. The Property Owners Association looked into it and would not agree to it. I went ahead and got the amendment made myself, so now we have dueling amendments. As for my amendment, it's just, you have the handout, it's just Roman numeral 4. Just a small addition. The rest of my amendment is exactly identical to the NHLA and property owners amendment. So the question becomes which amendment we're going to go with, or do we interim study? And I'm happy to listen to other people's opinion that are on the subcommittee. There you go. Joe. I'm sorry, Representative Alexander.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I actually think upon further review, this should be interim studied. I think that because we have dueling amendments and a disagreement here, I don't think there's really any reason to move forward right now. I do know that there's going to be a comprehensive work on a 540D in the fall, and I think that we can also deal with this issue as well. I know that NHLA and the Property Owners Association had a good faith effort to get to a compromise, but I think right now we're just at a point where I think we should pump the brakes and interim study this and get this done right.
I appreciate that sentiment, and that was the direction I was headed, but let me counteroffer this. I'm happy for us to go ahead and vote however people want to vote by their conscience on whichever amendment, and forego the floor fight, and that way that buys us time in the Senate to come up with the version that we think is best, because it is possible, based on what when my conversation just now with NHLA, that, or I should say former NHLA, that that the amendments, the original amendment actually is better than current law, and it might be one step forward. And if we get that, then it's better than nothing, potentially. I'm not sure if I'm sold on that, but I'm happy to buy time and wait for it to get to the Senate to figure it out.
I still think interim study is probably the best way to go.
Representative Kerwin.
So I will admit that I was offline all weekend, so I'm just looking at both of these right now. I do know from our subcommittee last week that this is something that really needs to be addressed, and it is confusing, and I know we have parties committed to work on it for next year as well. So I guess I'm leaning towards interim study for right now, because I know that they're working on it, and I'd like it if they could come up with something like perfect for it. So that's what I was leaning.
And to be clear, this was only one of 3 parts that need to be addressed in law to cover the entire thing. So we heard from them last week that they would, or 2 weeks ago, that they would work in the fall and summer and fall on the other 2 pieces. But I wanted to get some progress now because people are suffering, and it's good to not wait a year on something that we can have an easier fix with. But is there any further discussion, I guess? Would anyone like to make a motion for a recommendation?
I recommend that we recommend to the full committee interim study.
Is the nodding a second?
Yes, yes.
Any discussion? All right, take the vote. I guess it's show of hands here on interim study. All right, so the recommendation from the committee will be interim study.
How did the chair vote?
Can I make my decision when I fill out the form?
You called the vote, so you have to vote.
All right, I vote interim study then.
All right, great.
I closed the subcommittee work session on 1450, opened the subcommittee work session on HB 1112. Same deal. We asked for an amendment from both NHLA and the Property Owners Association. They got it. I think there was no problem with this one. Have the other subcommittee members had a chance to look over it?
Yes, I think it's a great amendment.
I think it's great.
All right, any further discussion? Okay, just for anyone listening, this essentially says, and I think it's very thorough language, it basically says that you can put into the lease whatever division of labor you want for snow removal of the areas that are accessed by more than one tenancy. But if you don't put it in the lease, those areas that are accessed by more than one tenant default to the landlord. The areas that are accessed only by one tenant default to the tenant. So it makes a lot of sense. Do I have a motion on this?
Sure, I'll make a motion.
Motion to recommend amendment number 0964 to the full committee.
Yes, I would recommend motion to recommend amendment 0964 to the whole committee.
And I'll second that.
Thank you.
Okay, and show of hands recommending the motion. All right, and I also vote yes. So the amendment will be recommended to the full committee, and I close the work session on HB 1112.
Thank you.
All right, so we are on time. So we're going to be 3 minutes, take a little break. Amendments are flying around. I got to hand another one out, and we'll get started shortly. Thank you. All right, good morning. I know we're going to be running a little late. We have 30 bills to exec. I believe my Democratic friends would like to get together in caucus, so I'm going to let them do that first so that we can crank through, hopefully go as quick as possible. So bear with us. All right. Good morning, everyone. We are looking to get started. I'm going to call the Housing Committee to order. First thing we're going to do is the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, so we have 30 bills to get through. I do not intend to break for lunch, so the less speaking, the closer we will be to lunchtime, but I want to make sure that every committee member feels that they can say whatever they need to say. So that's my disclaimer at the beginning of this. Okay, so we're going to move rather quickly to get started. Just for the record, I just emailed the committee assistant. Cassidy said she needs all reports by tomorrow at 1 p.m. So if you're making the motion or if you're a minority report, I need the report probably, yeah, by the end of the day would be great. If not, I'm up very late. So, 3 a.m. works for me too. I'll be firing those off of that. So yeah, if you could get them to me by the end of the day, that'd be really helpful. All right. The first one I want to open is the executive session on HB 1005, and I'll call on Representative Dumont for a motion.
I move ITL.
Is there a second? Representative Cole?
Second.
All right. Discussion?
Yeah, the commission has only just begun, and I'm looking forward to seeing their recommendations. This is to study something that's 100 years old, and I believe we need to hear them out before we move anything else forward. So at this time, I move ITL.
And this sunsets, this commission already goes away in November anyway, so I don't think there's a need to do it. All right. Any other discussion? We'll have the clerk call the roll. Motion is ITL.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Bollier,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles,
Not here.
absent, Representative Minor,
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes, Representative Page,
Yes.
Representative Newell,
Yes.
Representative Reed,
Yes.
Representative Horrigan,
Yes.
Representative Hicks,
Yes.
Representative Howland,
Yes.
Representative Hegner,
Yes.
Representative Kerwin,
Yes.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes. Motion carries 17-0. Representative Dumont will write the report. Any objections going on consent? I don't see any. This will go on consent. And before I move further, I just want to welcome Representative Horgan. Thank you for coming to the Housing
you're welcome.
Committee. Much appreciated. And Representative Newell, who has become a permanent sub, thank you for being here again. Now I want to open up exec on HB 1007 and call on Representative Cole for a motion.
I move ITL.
Is there a second? Representative Reinfurt.
Second.
Okay. Representative Cole.
Okay. HB 1007 replaces clear sitting standards with vague reasonable efforts requirement, inviting litigation and forcing municipalities to defend subjective decisions. This weakens the local zoning authority and undermines the town's ability to plan development in ways that reflect infrastructure capacity, neighborhood character, and voter improvement land priorities. It also imposes a one-size-fits-all mandate that ignores local conditions and creates unintended consequences for neighborhoods and housing markets.
Thank you. Any other discussions? All right. We'll have the clerk call the roll when you're ready. Motion is ITL.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Bollier,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles absent, Representative Minor,
Yes.
Representative Clerk Reinfurt, yes, Representative Page,
Yes.
Representative Newell,
Yes.
Representative Reed,
Yes.
Representative Horrigan,
Yes.
Representative Hicks,
Yes.
Representative Howland,
Yes.
Representative Hegner,
Yes.
Representative Kerwin,
Yes.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes.
17.
Motion carries 17-0. Any objections going on consent? Seeing none, we'll put this on consent. Representative Cole will write the report. All right, HB 1021. I would like to open that exec session and call on Representative Dumont for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move ought to pass.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Representative Bollier seconds. Go ahead, Representative Dumont.
All this does is it simply puts an assessing deadline in order with all the others. It makes it easier on the administrator as well, or the administration as well as the applicant. So therefore, I move on to pass.
Perfect. Any other discussion on this? I don't see any, so I'm moving quickly, but when you're ready, call the roll. Motion is ought to pass.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Bollier,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles absent, Representative Minor,
Yes.
Clerk Reinfort, yes, Representative Page,
Yes.
Representative Newell,
Yes.
Representative Reed,
Yes.
Representative Horrigan,
Yes.
Representative Hicks,
Yes.
Representative Howland,
Yes.
Representative Hegner,
Yes.
Representative Kerwin,
Yes.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes. Motion carries 17-0. Any objections going on consent calendar? Seeing none, we'll put it on consent. Representative Dumont, you have 2 reports now. All right. HB 1026. I want to open up the exec session and call on Representative Reed for a motion.
Sorry. I move ITL.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Representative Grant seconds it. Go ahead, Representative Reed.
No manufactured housing ADUs. I'm sorry, I'm completely lost and nobody told me I was making the motion. Or no, I was told. I apologize. I still wasn't prepared.
Okay. This bill as drafted would prevent somebody from placing a manufactured house as an ADU, and it would repeal and roll back part of HB 577, which this committee passed last year. So for that reason, I think it needs to be inexpedient to legislate. Is that what you were going to say, Representative Reed?
You put it perfectly, better than I could have.
Wonderful. All right. If there's no other discussion, I'll have the clerk call the roll.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Bollier,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles, absent, Representative Minor,
Yes.
Clerk Reinfort, yes, Representative Page,
Yes.
Representative Newell,
Yes.
Representative Reed,
Yes.
Representative Horrigan,
Yes.
Representative Hicks,
Yes.
Representative Howland,
Yes.
Representative Hegner,
Yes.
Representative Kerwin,
Yes.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes.
17.
Motion carries 17-0. Is there any objections going on consent calendar? Seeing none, it'll go on consent. And Representative Reed, you can listen to the video clip of me speaking.
I will
That could be your report.
happily write the report.
Okay.
No, I'm up to date now.
All right, perfect. Okay, I'm going to skip around a little bit. The next bill I'm calling is HB 1079. And I want to recognize Representative Howland to report on the subcommittee as well as make a motion.
So the subcommittee met twice to back up, and most of you already heard it. So this really drew a line in the sand. On July 1st, 2025, legislation went into effect that you could have either a attached or detached ADU by right. And the concern and the bill came up initially is if you had, for example, a garage that you had built before 2025 and it was allowed to be built, but subsequently the setback or the coverage has changed, it's become non-conforming. And when you went to go build your detached ADU by right, you were going to have to get a variance because it no longer met the requirements. And so this would stop you from doing that. As long as you could show that you had permission or a variance to build it, that you could do it by right. A concern was raised during the public hearing that what happens to people, that would be the sins of the past you're making up. The question would be what happens after 2025? I build a garage and I want to turn it into an ADU. What's to stop the community from changing the setback and the lot coverage? And then I can't build it. And so what we added in here was a line which references in 2025 legislation that we passed, which is RSA 674-39-2. RSA 674-39-1 and which what it said is from the moment that you get a building permit to the time that you can show substantial completion, you have a 7-year exemption from any changes in the setback or lot coverage. And that applies not just to ADUs, that applies to everything that you build. So if you had a single family house, that would apply to it. And so what the amendment does, it clarifies that your detached structure that you have does in fact have that 7-year protection. The other change that we made, and this is, I hate to be paranoid, if you had a garage and you're changing that garage into an ADU, technically they could say a change of use is occurring. And when that change of use is occurring, then you would no longer have your protection of that non-conforming. So we put this in that the change of use would not allow that to happen. So it just gives more protection to the property owner. And so the committee met, our recommendation is ought to pass with 0823H. So I will make a motion. The motion is ought to pass with amendment 0823H.
Is there a second?
Second.
Representative Aaron seconds it. So the first vote that we would need to have is a vote on the amendment 0823. Is a show of hands okay?
Yes.
All right, all those in favor of amendment number 0823, raise your hand. Those opposed? It's unanimous. All right, Representative Howland moves ought to pass as amended. And if there's no more discussion, I'll have the clerk call the roll. One zero seven nine. Yeah, Representative Aaron second. Yep.
All good? All right, Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton. Representative Aaron.
Yes.
Representative Bollier.
Yes.
Representative Dumont.
Yes.
Representative Grant.
Yes.
Representative Miles absent. Representative Minor.
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes. Representative Page.
Yes.
Representative Newell.
Yes.
Representative Reed.
Yes.
Representative Horrigan.
Yes.
Representative Hicks.
Yes.
Representative Howland.
Yes.
Representative Hegner.
Yes.
Representative Kerwin.
Yes.
Chairman Alexander.
17.
Motion carries 17-0. Any objections going on consent? I don't see any. Representative Howland, you're responsible for the report. All right, HB 1103. I'd like to open up the exec and call on Representative Howland for a motion.
So this is 79E.
What's your motion?
Oh, my emotion, thank you, is ought to pass with amendment 0592H. Is that right?
I haven't seen.
This is 1103, right?
Yeah. Thank you. All right, go ahead. Okay, so Representative Howland moves ought to pass and moves amendment 0592H. Is there a second? Representative Page seconds. Go ahead.
Okay, so just a quick rundown on 79E. 79E is a tax abatement where the municipality can say we're going to freeze your assessment for a number of years to give relief on projects. This bill actually only makes 3 changes, and they're all enabling. The first is it allows for residential conversions of commercial and industrial properties. Currently, you can only do those office conversions for those residential conversions for office property. The second thing it does is it allows for new construction. Currently, you can only use 79E for rehabilitation. And then the third thing it does is in the housing opportunity zone, currently to use 79E, you have to use HUD standards, which is a third of your units have to come in under HUD income definition. That is not economically viable. And so this changes it. It lets the municipality set what its criteria is. We feel, or I feel, that if you're going to put up the money, you should be able to set the criteria. And those are the only 3 things that the bill does. during public hearing, there were two things that came up that the amendment addresses. The first was by Representative Thaxton, which is a really good thing to keep in mind. We were saying that the start of the tax abatement would be when a certificate of occupancy occurs. Turns out that New Hampshire, that doesn't hold true for all communities. And so it was a really good catch. His succinct way was or equivalent. When I went to New Hampshire planning, the or equivalent is called completion. And so all that's added in here is under new construction that you use certificate of occupancy or completion of the new unit. So that's consistent already with what RSA 79 standard says. The last thing that we changed was the date that it would go into effect. It was set to not be able to take effect until April of 2027. And that would hold true if you are a SB2 town or a town meeting town. You could not adopt 79E until your next public meeting in March of 2027. That does not hold true if you have a town charter or your city. If you have a town charter, you can do it at any time. And there's a bunch of communities right now that want to do this. They have everything in place and they don't want to have to wait all the way till April of next year to do it. And so the amendment changes it to 60 days after passage.
Okay, thank you for your testimony. So to be honest, I was a little blindsided by this. I didn't realize that we were going to be voting on an amendment. So
I sent to this point, I'm sorry.
yeah, I'm going to recess this executive session and allow the Republicans to caucus, and then we'll move forward. So I'm going to recess this right now, and we're going to move forward to the next bill. HB 1112, I would like to open that up, call on Representative Reed for a motion.
I move ought to pass and move amendment number, there's an amendment number somewhere, 1 second, 0964H.
I'll second that. Would you like to speak to your motion?
I would, thank you. So this is the snow removal bill. You may have heard me say earlier in the subcommittee work session, this simply clarifies. Right now, there's a big kind of confusion about who's in charge of snow if they don't put it in the lease. This says that they can put it in the lease, any division of labor, but if it's not in the lease, then snow removal for areas that are accessed by more than one tenant will default to the responsibility of the landlord. Snow areas that are only accessed by one tenant will default to that tenant, and it's a good clarifying common sense amendment.
Other comments? I don't see any. I just want to thank the New Hampshire Legal Assistance and the Property Owners Association for working together on this. It's something that I think adding more clarity to the law is good in this situation. So I'm wholeheartedly supporting this. All right. All those in favor of amendment number 0964H, please raise your hand now. Those opposed? All right, that's unanimous. So the motion is ought to pass as amended. Moved by Representative Reed, second by Representative Alexander. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll have the clerk call the roll. Motion is ought to pass amended.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Bollier,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles absent, Representative Minor,
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes, Representative Page,
Yes.
Representative Newell,
Yes.
Representative Reed,
Yes.
Representative Horrigan,
Yes.
Representative Hicks,
Yes.
Representative Howland,
Yes.
Representative Hegner,
Yes.
Representative Kerwin,
Yes.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes.
17.
Motion carries 17-0. Any objection is going on consent? Seeing none, we'll put it on consent. Representative Reed will write the report. All right. Next is HB 1136. I would like to move ITL. Is there a second?
Second.
Representative Cole seconds. Very briefly, this is a full repeal of HB 577. This has just been signed into law July 1st of last year, hasn't even been in effect for a year. I know anecdotally there's a lot of ADUs being built around the state. I think this is a great new piece of legislation that I'm very proud of. And I would like to see how it works out, and a repeal is not necessary at this time. Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll have the clerk call the roll. When she's ready.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Bollier,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles absent, Representative Minor,
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes. Representative Page,
Yes.
Representative Newell,
Yes.
Representative Reed,
Yes.
Representative Horrigan,
Yes.
Representative Hicks,
Yes.
Representative Howland,
Yes.
Representative Hegner,
Yes.
Representative Kerwin,
Yes.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes.
17.
Motion carries 17-0. I'm going to leave this on the regular calendar because I anticipate there's going to be a floor debate, and I'd like to do that earlier in the day instead of later in the day. So we're going to leave this on the regular calendar. All right, next up, HB 1218. I would like to call on Representative Cole for a motion,
I move ITL.
and I will second that. Representative Cole, if you'd like to speak to that.
Okay, HB 1218 shifts excessive control and liability onto park owners while limiting reasonable oversight, imposes rigid timelines and mandates that invite conflict and litigation. It also punishes park owners for exercising lawful tenant approval authority.
Great. Other discussion on this? I think personally, I just think it's too much regulation on an industry that we don't need to overregulate. Representative Page.
I think we're gonna split on this one. We feel like this promotes transparency and we're supportive of it.
Okay. All right. Other discussion? I don't see any, so we'll have the clerk call the roll. Motion is ITL.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Bollier,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles absent, Representative Minor,
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes. Representative Page,
No.
Representative Burris, oh, excuse me, Representative Newell,
No.
Representative Reed,
No.
Representative Horrigan,
No.
Representative Hicks,
No.
Representative Howland,
No.
Representative Hegner,
No.
Representative Kerwin,
No.
Chairman Alexander,
Yes.
9 to 8.
Motion carries 9-8. Representative Cole will write the majority report. Will there be a minority report?
There will be a minority report of OTPA with amendment number 0956H, and that will be Rep. Reed writing the minority report.
Okay, and do we have that amendment?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Got that, Representative?
Yep.
Okay, Representative Reed will write the minority report. Motion will be OTPA.
Representative Reed.
Yep.
Okay.
actually, hold that
I'll go on the regular calendar.
0594H.
94H? 0596?
Oh, 96H. My bad. All right.
Do we have that
Next,
amendment?
I believe we do. The amendment was handed out, right, Representative Reed?
I don't think it was handed out.
It was handed out previously, though. Okay, we have possession of the amendment. Okay, next up is HB 1251. I would like to call on Representative Cole for a motion.
I move interim study.
Is there a second? Representative Reinfurt seconds.
I second.
All right, Representative Cole.
Okay. HB 1251 raises unresolved constitutional and local control concerns, relies on subjective and undefined density standards, and prior legislative history signals unresolved policy flaws. This certainly needs more study.
All right. Other discussion on that? I don't see any, so clerk will call the roll. Motion is interim study.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Bollier,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles absent, Representative Minor,
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes. Representative Page,
Yes.
Representative Newell,
Yes.
Representative Reed,
Yes.
Representative Horrigan,
Yes.
Representative Hicks.
Yes.
Representative Howland.
Yes.
Representative Hegner.
Yes.
Representative Kerwin.
Yes.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes.
17-0.
Motion carries 17-0. Any objection is going on consent? Seeing none, we'll put it on consent. Representative Cole will write the report. The next up is HB 1295. I would like to recognize myself for a motion. I move ought to pass, and I move amendment 0931H. Is there a second?
Second.
Representative Dumont seconds it. So I kind of just drafted this on my own based on testimony in the public hearing, but basically this amendment, I think, clarifies a lot of the language that presented. I think I had an issue with a couple parts of the bill, especially lines, especially on page 2, line 3, make a bona fide effort to service primarily those that cannot afford the usual fees. And then I also had an issue with page 1, line 29 about requiring 20% of the individuals pay no fee or a fee that's lower than the cost of services. So basically, I wanted to rewrite this because I think there was a lot of merit to this bill. And so I kept most of the things that were drafted in the primary bill. The one thing I really added in there, I struck out the bona fide effort and the 20% of individuals receiving services. And then on my amendment, line 23, section 6, I added quantitatively demonstrate the facility relieves the government of some of its burden by informing municipalities or political subdivisions in writing on an annual basis of its monetary donations or voluntary service contributions to the community in a majority of the facility, in majority of where the facility resides in, and make this information public. And then I said these contributions shall add up to no less than 50% of the actual value given from the municipality under this chapter. So basically, the goal of this area of law is to allow these nonprofit charitable housing projects to move forward, but also if the municipality is going to allow it, which obviously like this isn't saying they should, they have to, or they don't have to. It's a may, but if they're going to move forward, these facilities should quantitatively demonstrate that they're relieving the government of some of its tax burden if they're like moving forward with any projects like that. So I added in monetary donations or voluntary service contributions because obviously they might have some sort of where, they have all their employees volunteer for an old home day or something like that. Like that all can be quantitative. The value of that can be quantitative. So these contributions shall add up to no less than 50%. I think it's a reasonable amendment. I think it accomplishes what the sponsor wanted to get done with this bill. And the sponsor is okay with this amendment. So I ask that you support. Representative Reed.
Thank you. I have a lot of questions about this bill, and I have questions about the underlying. So I agree with everything you said in terms of, like, I like clarity of what a nonprofit is and requiring nonprofits to actually be nonprofit. Absolutely. Transparency, especially if they're receiving some sort of benefit from the government. I'm confused because this entire thing is a may. And towns can already give tax breaks to for-profit businesses. So I'm not sure why we're coming down extra hard on certain nonprofits for not being nonprofit enough if they can do for-profit business as well. So that's the first kind of conceptual thing for the whole bill. But even if I accept that, I have some issues with the language. And so I don't know why you would take out having to serve low-income people, a certain percentage or a good faith effort of low-income people, when the whole point is to say it has to be nonprofit. But also I'm concerned with a couple of just the language problems. If you don't, for example, in the first requirement on 1, if you do it without regard to their ability to pay, then I understand the whole idea is that you're supposed to say you're not taking in wealthier people over poorer people. I understand that's the intent, but technically what you're saying is you can't means test, which means you can't focus on low income people. You literally first come, first serve. Then in 2, accept forms of payment that are not covered. You clarified the language a little bit over the original bill, cover the full costs, including Medicare and Medicaid, but it still seems to be nonsensical because if you're accepting a form of payment that doesn't cover, then you're not accepting any payment. You see what I'm saying? I think you clarified a little bit by saying the full cost. So you're saying accept the payment for what it will cover, even if it's not covering everything, but it still is a little bit confusing to me. So I would just ask that you clarify all of those pieces, because I'm kind of two minds on the whole thing.
So I added full cost so that in cases where, you know, Medicaid will cover up to a certain amount like that obviously we do want to allow that. I also think the open enrollment policy where they're not means testing, I don't think that these facilities should be means testing. I would argue that if somebody applies, they should be able to vet those people, and they should vet them not based on how much money they have. And I think that was part of the crux of the bill is like, you know, these facilities shouldn't just be taking in people that can afford to pay. It should be people that also cannot afford to pay. And go ahead.
If I may ask and clarify, but my point is, if you say that they don't look at that information at all, then they don't know which ones they're taking. I understand the idea is that you don't want to only serve the wealthy, you want to serve lower income people, but if you're not able to look at it, then how would you do that?
Well,
and it may be that your language clarifies it from the original. The original was very, very, like, you can't even look.
Right. I would say their mission statement, like, they do want to help people that don't have the means to pay. I mean, we don't have to say in the law that they must do it. I think that what this bill is doing is that they should look at somebody not on their ability to pay, but on other factors moving forward. I mean, the reason why I said full cost of services, because there are situations in which they could get a reimbursement of some sort and it wouldn't cover the full cost. So I wanted to allow them the opportunity to do that. And I think that we don't have to define in law that they must accept a certain amount or anything like that. I think that's too much overreach. It's just saying they can't accept, and they just can't look at how much money they have or their ability to pay, or, you know, how long they're anticipated to live and how much money they have. Like, I think that to me is like kind of a problem. I think it's a moral issue. Like, I think if somebody needs help, like, you help them, especially when you're in the charitable and nonprofit sphere. So I think that helps answer your question on for-profit versus nonprofit. I think for-profit for-profit agencies are out there to make money. Nonprofit is to serve a community or serve a cause. So I would say in this situation, they should want to do these things. So that's why I put it in there.
I mean, I'm not sure that my questions were really answered, but I don't want to be argumentative when we have 30 more bills. So
Yeah. No, I
I think
understand.
I think where I am is I just want to genuinely, I'm not, you know, normally we all kind of just have our talking points already ready, but genuinely I would like to study this more in depth. So I think I would personally want interim study.
Okay. Other comments on this? All right. Is a show of hands for the amendment, or do you want to roll call on it? Show of hands, okay? Okay. All those in favor of amendment number 2026-0931H, please raise your hand now. Those opposed? Representative Horrigan, Representative Reed? Okay. Amendments adopted 15 to 2.
Do I read it on?
Okay, that doesn't need to be
That doesn't
reported.
matter.
Okay. Now we're on the final ought to pass as amended motion. Is there any more discussion on that? It was motioned by me, seconded by Representative Alexander, seconded by Representative Dumont. All right, seeing none, we'll have the clerk call the roll.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Bollier,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles absent, Representative Minor,
Yes.
Clerk Reinfort, yes, Representative Page,
Yes.
Representative Newell. Yes. Representative Reed,
No.
Representative Horrigan,
No.
Representative Hicks.
Yes.
Representative Howland,
Yes.
Representative Hegner.
Yes.
Representative Kerwin,
Yes.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes. Motion carries 15 to 2. Any objections going on consent? Okay, seeing none, we'll put this on the consent calendar and I will write the report. Next up is HB 1336. I'd like to recognize myself for a motion. I move ought to pass as amended and move amendment 0763H. Is there a second?
Second.
Representative Minor seconds it. So I think this is a great example of how this year in particular, New Hampshire Legal Assistance and the Property Owners Association, who have been known to, butt heads from time to time, came together on an amendment that would allow for a conditional. I want to get the language right, just so let me get the amendment up. It's a regulated conditional deposit, which would allow in certain situations housing providers to ask these of prospective tenants in cases that they are taking on more risk. This has been worked. This amendment is worked out between the housing provider community and New Hampshire Legal Assistance, and has both of their support. So I ask that you support this compromise and allows. I think this is a good piece of legislation that we can actually do some good for the housing shortage. Is there other comments on this? Representative Page.
Thank you. Yes, I'll certainly be supporting the amendment, but I will not be supporting the bill as amended. I think a couple things here. One of my key concerns here is all of these screening criteria that we're using to determine that we're going to have this double deposit are essentially signs of extreme financial distress. So we're doubling on, and what that raises for me is, what does that mean for that household? And in terms of the compromises they're going to need to make in their household budget, what are they foregoing? I do appreciate the intent here that we're trying to create more opportunity for folks who are on the margins to access housing, but I think this is not the way to go about it. After hearing all the testimony at the hearing, I think the other piece of concern here, thinking about folks we heard from like the Coalition Against Homelessness and others, is that there's a tremendous amount of work being done by churches, by nonprofits, through town welfare offices, even to support, first month's rent, to get these folks into housing through private fundraising, right? To already raise the money to provide the security deposit. So when we allow that amount to be doubled, we are effectively having the impact of all of that work by those different groups who are trying to get folks into housing. And to me, that says, okay, well, now we're asking all of our nonprofit partners basically to double their work to try to help folks meet their housing needs. So while I support the intent and the good intentions behind the bill, and I support the work that went into the amendment, and I'm thankful for that, I won't be voting to support this today.
Representative Horgan.
Just very quickly, this is an example of something that's endemic to our economic system, which is that it's very expensive to be poor. So we impose the poor incur a lot of expenses, including paying, in this case, if this bill passes, paying a double security deposit that the rest of us aren't burdened with. So it's certainly not unique to this particular situation, but that's something that's true in all sorts of areas that we charge poor people more than unpoor people, which is kind of paradoxical and unfair. But
Thank you, Representative. I mean, I would say that these conditional deposits are an innovative way to expand housing access, because these people would not have normally had access to this housing. This is a route for them to have access. So they will either be homeless, or they will be able to utilize a regulated conditional deposit to get housing. So what we're saying is, you're voting against this, you just want to keep these people homeless. I mean, I don't understand. This amendment is a innovative way and highly transparent and accountable tool. Like, these housing providers must provide all these accountability. I mean, the fact that we have a compromise between two groups that typically butt head on this has been decades of housing providers want to be able to use a tool like this, but the legal assistance, they want to give these people homes that won't normally have access to homes. So I guess I'm kind of at a loss for words at why the minority is going to vote for the amendment but against the bill because the amendment replaces the whole bill. I don't say minority, I say minority ranking member because I don't know how everyone else is voting. Representative Reed.
So just to be clear, we're still on the amendment, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not to chair from over here, but I would hesitate to get into the whole bill when we're still on the amendment. I don't know if there's a lot of contention on the amendment.
Okay. All right. Is the show of hands for that amendment okay? Okay. All those in favor of amendment number 2026-0763H, please raise your hand. Those opposed? Amendment carries. Now we're on the... I mean, I've already said now we're on the ought to pass as amended motion. I guess I would put out there that I'm confused at why you'd vote for the amendment and then not the underlying bill because the amendment replaces the bill. But go ahead, Representative Reed.
Thank you. I think the amendment does make it a lot better, and I think that's a good faith thing to vote for something that you don't like that makes it better than the worst thing. That's a good faith vote to take. However, at the end of the day, the people we're trying to help are not people who can afford double the security deposit. And the security deposit being tied to 1 month's rent has been a sacrosanct thing for a very long time, a core tenant protection. And we're violating that to help people that they're not the people that we're trying to help.
All right. Any other discussion? Representative Minor.
Sorry,
No, go
light
ahead.
was on the whole time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My concern is that there is a group of people, like maybe young people, that want a roommate situation, and it's a little scary to rent to them. If they can come up with a double deposit, then it would be more likely. I know that's a big concern. It just provides that extra. No one's saying that everyone's gonna be charged a double security deposit. It's if you feel like it's the situation that's gonna make you more comfortable to rent to them.
Well, and I do want to say that there's under this amendment as adopted, there's a security deposit and then there's a regulated conditional deposit, which is offered in certain situations. So what we're saying is you can't charge 2 security deposits. That's already a thing. We aren't expanding that right. What we're saying is we have this other thing that's an option for housing providers to provide a regulated conditional deposit in situations in which they wouldn't otherwise rent to these people because they have poor credit or a bad application or background check might come back around. Like there are a bunch of different reasons why they might opt out. That then they can use this regulated conditional deposit as a tool. This isn't going to become the industry standard because this has protections in there saying they can't mandate that they offer the regulated conditional deposit if the tenant already meets certain standards. So this is the people that they wouldn't otherwise rent to. This is people that fall through the hoops and are either homeless or can't find housing because they don't qualify for certain projects. I think this is a win-win for everybody. I mean, yeah, I guess I'm at a loss for words. All right. No other discussion. We'll have the clerk call the roll. Motion is ought to pass as amended by amendment 0763H.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Bollier,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles absent, Representative Minor,
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes, Representative Page,
No.
Representative Newell,
No.
Representative Reed,
No.
Representative Horrigan,
No.
Representative Hicks,
Nope.
Representative Howland,
No.
Representative Hegner,
No.
Representative Kerwin,
No.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes. All right. Motion carries 9-8. I will write the majority report. Will there be a minority report?
Yes, there will be a minority report of ITL, and Rep. Kerwin will be writing the report.
Wonderful. All right. This will go on the regular calendar. All right. Next up is HB 1343. I call on Representative Cole for a motion.
I move ITL.
And Representative
I
Aaron?
second.
Representative Aaron seconds it. Go ahead, Representative Cole, when you're ready.
All right, HB 1343. There's no reliable way to verify who's actually voting. When meetings and votes are conducted entirely by electronic means, there's no clear safeguard ensuring that the individual casting the vote is in fact the unit owner entitled to vote. A spouse, a tenant, a friend, or a third party could be participating off camera or using someone else's login credentials. Without strict identity verification standards written into statute, you simply do not know who's actually casting binding votes on budgets. Increases risk of proxy abuse and undue influence. It weakens transparency and accountability in high-stakes decisions. Condominium boards make consequential financial decisions, including adopting budgets, imposing special assessments that directly affect the property owner's finances. For these reasons, I move ITL.
Other discussion? Representative Hicks.
Thank you. I see this as a very common sense bill that allows people, especially in condos who may not live locally, an opportunity to participate in their governance. So,
Representative Horgan.
Well, I was a co-sponsor of this bill. So I said at the hearing, I think the technology, I mean, no technology is 100% secure, but I think there's reasonable security if somebody actually, I think if the abuses that Representative Cole was concerned about were going on, the other members of the condominium association, I think, would have ways of being aware of it. And also, this is just enabling legislation. It does say may, not shall. So if the condominium board or a similar body isn't comfortable using the technology, they're not required to, but this enables them to do so if they want to. And I think it's I think we've been, Zoom has been very commonly used. A similar one, Zoom has been around for about 6 years. The other things have been around for longer than that. So I think I think there's a reasonable degree of safety. So I think the bill is a good one. So I'll still vote against the ITL. So, and thanks.
Representative Page, then Representative Bollier.
I agree with some of the prior comments, and I think, even like I often join our county delegations meeting through remote participation, and that's very common in our county delegation. So I think this is it's something we're doing commonly in all kinds of, important work. So I'm not sure why we're singling out condo associations for not being able to, have remote participation, remote meetings. I think also, your take on the need for this may depend a bit on where you're coming from in the state. Coming from the North Country, from ski country, a lot of our condo associations are folks who are rarely in the same place at the same time. I have a friend who lives in a condo association. They're the only person who's actually a year-round resident, and they've got people coming for a week in the summer, for 2 weeks to ski. So I see this as a very practical solution for folks.
Representative Bollier.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I also support the ITL motion on this, but I think for a different reason. I myself personally am not opposed to the remote testimony remote meetings where a private organization, it makes sense. My only contention is this is not something that the government should be micromanaging. These condo association bylaws are private agreements, and I think we should be very, very, very careful when the government treads into long-established private agreements. I think that if there are genuine problems with some of these, condo associations, then I think people are going to have to get more active, and they're going to have to take responsibility for that organization. There can also be market effects. If you have a really badly run condo association, then that could actually negatively affect the value of the condo, which will send market signals to actually rectify whatever the issue is. So for these reasons, I very much sympathize with the testimony, and I completely understand how it can be very frustrating in some of these instances, but I just do not think the appropriate remedy for this is through the legislature mandating this.
Representative Bollier, are you saying that condo associations already have the right to do this?
Yeah, so my understanding is that if a condo association wanted to amend its bylaws to enable some kind of remote participation, then that's something that they're free to do under New Hampshire law. Instead, and this is enabling, but then the association has to go and turn it off. Let's just not mess with it at all, and let's let people make their own decisions about things that affect them directly instead of doing it in Concord.
Other discussion? All right, I don't see any. When we're ready, the motion is ITL. We'll have the clerk call the roll.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Bollier,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles absent, Representative Minor,
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes, Representative Page,
No.
Representative Newell,
No.
Representative Reed,
No.
Representative Horrigan,
No.
Representative Hicks,
No.
Representative Howland,
Nope.
Representative Hegner,
No.
Representative Kerwin,
No.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes. Motion carries 9-8. Representative Cole will write the majority report. Will there be a minority report? I don't see any minority report, so this will go on the regular calendar. All right, next up is HB 1357. I'd like to call on Representative Page for a motion,
Thank you. I move interim study.
and I will second that. Representative Page, go ahead.
I think for many of us, the goals of this bill are actually a high priority. I think, thinking about the fact that the median sale price on a newly constructed stick-built home is over $700,000 in this state. Realistic opportunity to have manufactured housing is a real priority for us. I think in conversations within our caucus and across the aisle, what's become clear is we need to invest a lot of time and effort into education of folks within both of our caucuses about what this is, why it is needed, and to work with folks who may have various minor technical concerns about the bill as presented to get it over the finish line. So I think we should take the time to do that work together, get it right, get colleagues on board, and get this done in a future year. So for that reason, I'm recommending interim study.
Yeah, thank you, Representative. This committee has supported a bill like this last year and voted out unanimously. I think everybody agrees that this bill should pass. I think what Representative Page said is this is an education opportunity. We need to educate our colleagues and the general community on what this bill really does. So we're going to take the time to do that. And I guess I would say not at this time, but this is a really great bill. So Representative Reed.
Thank you. For all the reasons Representative Page just said, I can't vote interim study myself. I appreciate very much the sponsor putting this in. I think the time is now. I think the time was a long time ago. So I cannot support interim study. I think we need to pass this now.
I'm glad you and the sponsor are so close. We are very close. Okay. All right. Great. If there's no other discussion, we'll have the clerk call the roll. Oh, Representative Bollier.
No, I was just going to say, I agree with the sentiment of Representative Reed's comments. I just don't necessarily agree with the conclusion. I think that this should have happened a long time ago, and that's all the more reason why we really need to make sure that when we do this, we do it right.
I think the worst thing for this bill would be an ITL motion on the floor, and I don't think we're ready to get this over the finish line. And for that reason, I think we need to, move forward more cautiously. Representative Hicks.
So thank you. I was prepared to vote OTP on this after the discussion, as long as it's clear that I think there's general support of this, and I would echo that. I will support the interim study.
All right. Seeing no other comments, we're going to have the clerk call the roll. Motion is interim study.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Bollier,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles absent, Representative Minor.
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes. Representative Page,
Yes.
Representative Newell,
Yes.
Representative Reed,
No.
Representative Horrigan,
Yes.
Representative Hicks.
Yes.
Representative Howland,
Yes.
Representative Hegner,
Yes.
Representative Kerwin,
Yes.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes.
16.
Motion carries 16-1. Is there any objection that's going on consent calendar?
Oh, wait, yes.
This will go on the regular calendar.
You want it on regular?
Yes.
All right. This bill will go on the regular calendar.
That's right.
Okay, next up is,
I'm not sorry.
you are well within your right to do that, Representative Reed. Representative Reed, I now want to open up the executive session on HB 1450. and call on Representative Reed to speak from the subcommittee and make a motion.
Thank you. So this was the bill that was dealing with the issue of roommates in a lease, that one roommate was a problem and our law did not allow the landlord to kick out the one problematic roommate. We asked the NHLA as well as the Property Owners Association to come up with an amendment. The issue is actually quite a bit larger than the amendment. They will be working during the summer and fall on 2 other sections of law that are going to be needed to address the full situation. But the thought was, can we get something done now? And the thing that they got done was an amendment that they originally agreed to, saying that landlords could kick out the one bad tenant. However, that accidentally allowed situations where the landlord was kicking out perhaps a husband, but the rest of the family was stuck in the lease and now they're forced to live apart. And so what I asked for, and we could not get to an agreement on, but we had competing amendments in the subcommittee, was to add just a little bit to that agreed upon amendment, saying the people who are remaining would have 14 days to decide whether or not they wanted to leave with the person being evicted or stay in the lease. Because we couldn't get to an agreement in the subcommittee moved and suggested interim study. So I would like to move OTP and adopt amendment. I'll move interim study. The glare changed my mind.
Okay, so Representative Reed moves interim study. Representative Kerwin, would you like to second that?
I will second that.
Okay. Do you need to speak any more about this?
No.
Great. All right, if there's no other comments, we're going to have the clerk call the roll. Motion is interim study.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Boyer,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles absent, Representative Minor,
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes, Representative Page,
Yes.
Representative Newell,
Yes.
Representative Reed,
Yes.
Representative Horrigan,
Yes.
Representative Hicks.
Yes.
Representative Howland,
Yes.
Representative Hegner,
Yes.
Representative Kerwin,
Yes.
Chairman Alexander,
Yes.
So,
Motion carries 17-0. Representative Page.
I just want to really commend everyone who tried to get this done this year for their work. Every member of the subcommittee and the folks who came together. I'm sorry we didn't get it done, but I just wanted to say thank you to everybody because I think it was a really important effort to try to solve a problem for real people. So thank you.
Any, excuse me, any objections going on consent? Seeing none, we'll put this on consent. All right, next up, I'd like to open up the executive session on HB 1517, and I will move interim study. Representative Bollier.
I'd like to second that motion.
Okay, real briefly, I think there is some serious concern over things that are happening around this country relative to religious tribunals and things like that. And I just want to make sure that we're looking further into this, but I don't think the bill as drafted is just definitely not ready. So I would like to move interim study, knowing that we will perhaps look into this summer. Representative Page.
Thank you. I was thinking of an ITL motion on this, but I'll be happy to support an interim study motion on this just to keep us moving. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other discussion on this? Seeing none, we'll have the clerk call the roll.
Vice Chairman Cole,
yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Boyer,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles absent, Representative Minor,
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes, Representative Page,
Yes.
Representative Newell,
Yes.
Representative Reed,
Yes.
Representative Horrigan,
Yes.
Representative Hicks,
Yes.
Representative Howland,
Yes.
Representative Hegner,
Yes.
Representative Kerwin,
Yes.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes.
17.
Motion carries 70-0. Any objections going on consent? Seeing none, we'll put this on consent. All right. Next is HB 1540. I would like to call on Representative Grant for a motion.
I make a motion OTP.
Second.
Representative Grant moves ought to pass. Representative Cole seconds it. Representative Grant, you're recognized to move an amendment.
I'm sorry. 2026-0091.
Representative Grant moves amendment number 2026-0951H. Representative Cole, would you like to second?
Yes.
All right, Representative Grant, you're recognized to speak to your amendment. And I hear there was also was there a subcommittee on this?
Yes, there was.
Okay, so you're recognized to speak to that as well.
Okay. So on the well, actually, I wasn't the chair.
That's you made the motion, so you can speak to your motion, and then I'll let the chair speak.
Okay. So actually, the amendment that I'm proposing here I think is a good compromise. We're still allowing ADUs within the 250 buffer zone of the shorelines, but we're also addressing septic systems or that will or can or will have a problem, interfere with the buffer zone and have an issue on the lake. So we went back and forth on this from absolutely not having any ADUs by right to a bunch of other restrictions as far as the towns were concerned, but ending up with this compromise. I think this is amendment is a good compromise, and I think this will meet protecting the shoreline and protecting the 250 buffer zone.
Who is the chair of that subcommittee? Representative Page, you're recognized.
Thank you. I certainly support this amendment. I think this is a good, frankly, I see it more as a clarification of our existing legislative intent around septic and ADUs than any major change, but I think it's a good thing to get done. In the subcommittee, we explored different solutions. A number of partners helped us trying to find an amendment that was workable. I think this is the piece that I sense there is bipartisan will to move this year. The other piece that I think interests a lot of our partners, which may remain a concern and should be something that we continue conversation around, is around any additional impervious cover. I think one thing we can be reassured of is we haven't done anything to change, folks' zoning powers in terms of lot coverage, setbacks, things like that. So there are still municipal tools in place to try to control for that. But I think as a committee, we should welcome continued conversation about that concern that was raised by partners for future legislative sessions. But I think this is a piece where we have a solution I think we can agree on, and we should get this piece done this year. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, HB 577 was a big step forward, and this would peel it back for 250 feet from shorelands, and that's a lot of land area around the state. And I think that this amendment is good because what it does is it makes sure that any standards being applied are strictly based on the state standard. And I think that one of the reasons why, or a way a municipality would deny an ADU is by developing stricter standards on those sort of things, shoreline protections, things like that. So by relying on the state standard, which we have, scientists, there's a lot of data to back up what their standards are. I think it's a reasonable bill to say that the municipalities can enforce up to the state standard, and I'm okay with it. So thank you to the subcommittee for doing that. All right, we'll have a show of hands on the amendment. All those in favor of amendment number 2026-0951H, please raise your hand. Those opposed? Amendment is adopted 17-0. Now we're on the final ought to pass as amended motion. Motion by Representative Grant, second by Representative Cole. If there's no other discussion, I'll have the clerk call the roll.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Boyer,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles absent, Representative Minor.
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes. Representative Page,
Yes.
Representative Newell,
Yes.
Representative Reed,
Yes.
Representative Horrigan,
Yes.
Representative Hicks.
Yes.
Representative Howland,
Yes.
Representative Hegner.
Yes.
Representative Kerwin,
Yes.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes. Motion carries 17-0. Any objections going on consent? Seeing none, we'll put on consent. Representative Grant, you'll write the report. Beautiful. Okay, next up is HB. I'm going to skip over 1588, go to HB 1613, and call on Representative Dumont for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move ITL.
Is there a second? Representative Cole?
Second.
Okay, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, this bill creates an indeterminate expense at this time when we simply can't afford to add any additional costs to our budget. So for those reasons, I move ITL.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this motion?
Everybody's looking at me.
Representative Reed, would you like to speak to this?
Sure. This was requested. We had a study last term on the things that were prohibiting the increase in accessible housing. And there was separately a report that was expected and was never delivered. And I was asked to put this in by the disability advocate community. They then supported, because of what we all felt was an unreasonable fiscal note for a single report, we decided to put in an amendment saying, just asking for a study committee to then study not the things that were impeding access to accessible housing, but solutions and possible ways forward. So that is what I supported. I think that's very reasonable. I think it's an extremely important thing for us to deal with, and that is why I would support the study committee.
Representative Horrigan.
Yes, these organizations, I don't want to say non-governmental organizations because NGO is a dirty word, but the organizations that are not part of the government here are already working on these, so there's no expense to them. So nobody's being paid except for, I guess, mileage for the legislative members, and they're free not to sign in for the mileage if they don't feel comfortable accepting whatever the $37.50 or whatever they get for mileage. So I think the cost is likely to be minimal. The commission might come up with more solutions for things. So I think this is a good bill. So I support it. Thanks.
Representative Reed, I just want to ask you if you're old enough to remember, as I am, when we were on the special committee on housing and we had a public hearing on a study committee to examine impediments for the disability community, and we had 30, 40 people testify on it. And so we passed the study committee, and then nobody showed up. There was no quorum. Nobody showed up for the study committee. The actual business of the legislature wasn't done. So I guess I'm wondering, if we pass the study committee, what's stopping the same problem from happening again?
So as you remember, and I do remember that I was there when we passed that bill, but I was not put onto that study committee. So I was unaware that nobody showed up. It sounds like we need a redo.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? We'll see. Now we'll have the clerk call the roll. Motion is ITL.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Bollier,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles absent, Representative Minor,
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes. Representative Page,
No.
Representative Newell,
No.
Representative Reed,
No.
Representative Horrigan,
No.
Representative Hicks,
No.
Representative Howland,
No.
Representative Hegner,
No.
Representative Kerwin,
No.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes. Motion carries 9-8. Representative Dumont will write the majority report. Will there be a minority report?
Sure. Yes. I'll write the minority report. It'll be OTPA with the Reed Study Committee amendment, which is number 0623H.
Beautiful. Thank you. Okay, next I'd like to open up the executive session on HB 1619 and call on Representative Dumont for a motion.
I move interim study.
And Representative Page, would you like to second that?
Sure.
Great.
Second it.
All right, Representative Dumont, you're recognized.
The right to property is one of the most important personal rights one has, and we should be doing all we can to protect that. With that being said, this bill goes in the right direction, but still needs some work, and therefore I move interim study.
Great. Any other discussion on this bill? Representative Bollier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So much like HB 1357, I absolutely love this idea. I actually think that fundamentally the idea behind this bill, if there was an easy button, so to speak, to solve New Hampshire's housing crisis, as I've said in many floor speeches, the way we solve that is with free markets, and this is a free market bill. So I think if we could one day get a version like this, passed, I think it'll fundamentally solve a lot of the problems that we've been sort of nibbling around the edges about, but I think this will fundamentally strike the root at what has caused our housing crisis. So I wish we could OTP it, but again, we need to make sure we have our ducks in the row so we can actually get this done right the first time. So for that reason, I'm going to support interim study, but it's a great idea.
Okay, seeing no other discussion, we'll have the clerk call the roll. Motion is interim study.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Bollier,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles absent, Representative Minor,
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes, Representative Page,
Yes.
Representative Newell,
Yes.
Representative Reed,
Yes.
Representative Horrigan,
Yes.
Representative Hicks, Representative Howland,
Yep.
Representative Hegner,
Yes.
Representative Kerwin,
Yes.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes. Motion carries 17-0. Is there any objections going on consent? Seeing none, we'll put this on consent. Representative Dumont is responsible for the report. Next up, I would like to open up the executive session on HB 1654 and call on, again, Representative Dumont.
I move ITL.
Second.
And okay, Representative Dumont moves ITL. Representative Cole seconds it. Go ahead, Representative Dumont, you're recognized.
I don't believe denying any building permit for back taxes will fix the issue. I actually think it'll do quite the opposite. I believe municipality would have a better chance at collecting those back taxes on improved parcels. Therefore, I move ITL.
Other discussion on that? Representative Page.
Thank you. I agree. I actually came into the hearing on this bill thinking I was going to be supporting OTP and that was the obvious choice. And after hearing some of the testimony, I realized that really this would cause a huge problem. So I support the ITL as well.
Okay, seeing no other discussion, we'll have the clerk call the roll. Motion is ITL.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Bollier,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles absent, Representative Minor,
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes, Representative Page,
Yes.
Representative Newell,
Yes.
Representative Reed,
Yes.
Representative Horrigan,
Yes.
Representative Hicks,
Yes.
Representative Howland,
Yes.
Representative Hegner,
Yes.
Representative Kerwin,
Yes.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes. Motion carries 17-0. Any objections going on consent? No, we'll throw it on consent. Representative Dumont, write the report. Okay, next up, I'd like to open up the executive session on HB 1660 and recognize Representative Dumont for a motion.
I move ITL.
Is there a second? Representative Bollier?
I second that motion.
Representative Bollier seconds. You're recognized to speak.
There's a lot going on with this bill. It's a very busy one, creates a lot of administrative work and puts one class of housing above the rest. Therefore, I move ITL.
Other discussion on this bill? Representative Page, then Representative Howland.
I think this is, I think ITL is the wrong choice on this bill. I think this is a innovative solution that we've seen working in other states, including our neighbors right next door in Maine. I think the bill is very well drafted. It is very complex with a lot going on. I agree. But priority housing flows from the planning process, from your specific needs. We're talking about senior housing, disability housing, workforce housing. And I think we're missing a real opportunity to do something innovative to support key housing types here. So I will not be supporting the ITL.
Representative Howland.
So, I mean, it is long, and I boiled it down to this. This is enabling legislation, and it really allows the municipality can abate a type of property that we know is extremely hard to build. All of the priorities that they put on there, it's challenging to build them, and this is just a tool the municipality has that allows them to abate the taxes to try to make it viable. The municipality controls the length of the contract and the percentage of the abatement, so they can always say no. Adding more tools to a municipality's toolbox to build housing is always a good thing, which is why I don't recommend the ITL.
Any other discussion? I don't see any, so when we're ready, we'll have the clerk call the roll.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Bollier,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles absent, Representative Minor,
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes. Representative Page,
No.
Representative Newell,
No.
Representative Reed,
No.
Representative Horrigan,
No.
Representative Hicks,
No.
Representative Howland,
Nope.
Representative Hegner,
No.
Representative Kerwin,
No.
Chairman Alexander,
Yes.
9 to 8.
Motion carries 9 to 8. Representative Dumont, you'll write the majority report. Will there be a minority report? Representative Howland is write the minority report. Is that the motion is ought to pass? Okay. Beautiful. All right. Next, I'm going to skip over 1681.
I got the amendment.
Okay. I'm still going to skip over it. Thank you, though. There's about 7 bills I want the Republicans to get together on, so
fine.
that's going to be one of them. All right. Next up, I want to open up the executive session on HB 1709 and recognize Representative Bollier for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move ought to pass with Amendment 2026-0943H.
And I will second that. Representative Bollier, you're recognized.
All right, well, thank you. So this amendment, which is a replace all amendment, I really incorporated a lot of the feedback and things from testimony and really looked at this with fresh eyes. So I'm completely aware of the federal preemption when it comes to immigration law and enforcement. I'm aware of the due process considerations. I'm also aware of the equal protection considerations. So given those restraints, I was thinking, how can we accomplish something which, frankly, I think our constituents have been demanding a long time, which is if you do not have a legal right to be in this country, how then can the government defend your right to be in an apartment? So there is a section of federal law where there is not full preemption when it comes to immigration enforcement, and that is 8 USC 1252C. So whether or not there's a 287G program or not, all local law enforcement, as long as it complies with state law, is authorized to remove criminal illegal felons that are illegally present in the country. There's nothing additional that we need from the feds to do that. That's something that the feds have explicitly authorized us to do. And part of making a portion of state law to go along with that, this prohibits the occupancy or tenancy of any real property by this category of person. And I want to make it very, very, very clear. This is not somebody who's in the country illegally because they overstayed their visa. This is not someone who, is, let's say that they maybe have a final order of removal, but they have a stay of execution or something like that, or they're going through some kind of appeal process for their asylum claim. These are criminal, illegal felons that are basically deported on site. So that is the sole scope of who this is applying to. Should they occupy or be a tenant for real property in New Hampshire, this would make it a Class A misdemeanor, and they would presumably be held until ICE could pick them up and deport them from the country. There's also a severability clause, so depending on how this is, I don't think any other state has tried this exact methodology, but there is a severability clause that could potentially, if one part of the law might not entirely mesh with the federal immigration enforcement scheme, perhaps other parts of the law could still continue to be enforced. So for that reason, I bring this amendment.
Representative Howland.
I just have a question for you, actually. So these would not be classified as low risk in terms of an offender. So like because they're criminal, they would be a high risk offender. So they would, if they were in any way caught by ICE, they would immediately be placed in jail. Is that correct? They would not be sitting in their apartment. They would go to jail immediately, right?
Right, so that's a good question. So one of the things, that's why there is a paragraph 3, which is a sheriff, when they serve the writ of possession, if it is safe to do so, they are encouraged to, you know, see if one of these people are who they're serving the writ of possession on are in fact actually violating this. So one of the problems ICE has is they don't know where all these people are. When you interface this with, let's say, someone who's getting served with a writ of possession, that might actually be an opportunity to identify somebody who is a fugitive from ICE. And again, these are only people who are illegal felons. So it's not, you know, for instance, I mean, we already prohibit felons from owning firearms. There's other, you know, this is not just a broad-based capturing a lot of people. This is a very specific targeted thing. But I think there is a role for the state government to play here, because the federal government largely does not regulate land use and land use laws. So this really is an opportunity when we're serving a writ of possession to maybe say, can we pick up somebody who's an illegal felon and get them to where they need to be, which is not in an apartment in New Hampshire.
Other comments? Representative Page?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a technical question about the sort of order of operations here. So on lines 15 through 16, so one of the criteria we're using here is that the status of the individual has been confirmed by the Department of Homeland Security. But then the sheriff arrests them after they have determined that they're in violation of Section 1. So I guess my question is sort of, what is the sequence of events here where we've determined that they meet this criteria? Like, so they go to DHS first and then they go back and arrest them? Like, I'm just not clear on how these steps are followed in order.
Right. So the thinking is, when serving a writ of, or maybe not when serving a writ of possession, but if somebody is occupying real property in New Hampshire, so lines 15 through 16, that check by Department of Homeland Security, there's certain mechanisms, but primarily NCIC, if they run that name for the writ of possession or whoever's occupying that apartment through the database, it would show up as this is an illegal criminal felon who's subject to arrest, you know. So so in terms of the order of operations, as soon as law enforcement becomes aware of that fact, either, you know, through a normal investigation or through serving the writ of possession, it would not be a situation where they go door to door knocking on apartments saying, hey, you know, what are your papers? It's only situations where through serving legitimate state government functions, they become aware that someone is this category of illegal felon.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I would love to caucus with my team before we finish this exec session, if we could recess this and do the others later. Having just received this amendment last night, I was not tracking on a couple of things here, and I'd like a chance to speak with my colleagues.
Sure. So we're going to recess this executive session. Next one I want to open up is the one on 1764 and recognize, Representative Miles isn't here.
I'm just not here for two of them.
I'm going to recognize Representative Dumont for a motion. No, it's not needed.
Okay.
I move ITL on 1764.
And I will second that. Go ahead, Representative Dumont.
This bill imposes a new tax on property owners whose municipality does not meet workforce housing requirements. By creating a new tax on local property owners, this does not fix or help the housing issue, it just increases costs. This coercive mechanism undermines local control and the New Hampshire tradition on low taxes.
Thank you, Representative Dumont. Representative Howland.
So I brought this up during the public hearing. It's like you would not have enough time to fix your zoning to build the house before you got the tax imposed on you. And that's a real issue. So it's kind of punitive for most communities.
Okay. Seeing no other discussion, I'm going to have the clerk call the roll. Motion is ITL.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Bollier,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Minor absent, or excuse me, Representative Miles absent, Representative Minor,
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes. Representative Page,
Yes.
Representative Newell,
Yes.
Representative Reed,
Yes.
Representative Horrigan,
Yes.
Representative Hicks,
Yes.
Representative Howland,
Yes.
Representative Hegner,
Yes.
Representative Kerwin,
Yes.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes.
17.
Motion carries 17-0. Any objections going on consent? Seeing none, this will go on consent. Representative Dumont, you got another report. Okay, so at this time, these are the bills I feel like I have left. 1050, 1103, 1375, 1432, 1588, 1681, 1713, and 1726.
Correct.
Okay. We're going to break for 10 minutes so both groups can caucus. And I also need to speak to Representative Page. So we're in recess for 10 minutes. All right, Republicans, we'll just go down the hall.
No, we don't want to kick everyone out.
Yes.
Yeah, after we talk. All right, Republicans, just go down the hall. We got to go down the hall. I got to talk about something. All right, hoping to get started. Knock these last bills out. Okay, everyone's here. Great. All right. I would like to open up the executive session on HB 1050 and recognize Representative Page for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move interim study on HB 1050.
Is there a second? Representative Reed, would you like to second that?
I will
Or
second it.
Representative Hicks?
Okay. However you want to do it.
All right, Representative Hicks seconds. Go ahead, Representative Page.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think in speaking with my colleagues, we actually all support the underlying goal of this bill. You know, I think many of us know folks who participate in homeschool co-ops. You know, certainly those of us in my age cohort who experienced children at home during COVID. We all did this for a while. You know, I think it's something we want to empower parents to do. We've got no problem with that. We just have some concerns about some of the definitions in the bill. You know, particularly around the learning pods, the size of those, the ages of the children participating, you know. So I think we would love to participate in continuing to work toward a workable bill here, but we think that we need to take some time.
Any other comments on this? Representative Bollier.
So I definitely understand and sympathize with the instinct of interim studying this. I personally think this one is clear enough and obvious enough that I will be voting against that because I would actually like to see this passed. I think that the notion that you need to get the government's permission to do something in your house besides eating, sleeping, and paying in taxes, I think needs to change. And I think educating, you know, is something that people have done at home for centuries in New Hampshire. And I think it's a right that should be protected by law.
All right, any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll have the clerk call the roll. Motion is interim study.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Boyer,
No.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles, absent. Representative Minor,
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes. Representative Page,
Yes.
Representative Newell,
Yes.
Representative Reed,
Yes.
Representative Horrigan,
Yes.
Representative Hicks.
Yes.
Representative Howland,
Yes.
Representative Hegner.
Yes.
Representative Kerwin,
Yes.
Chairman Alexander,
No. Thank you guys for carrying that weight.
15 to 2.
All right, motion carries 15-2. Any objections going on consent? Seeing none, this will go on consent. All right, next up, 1103. I want to reopen the executive session on that. Representative Howland has a motion on the floor of ought to pass, and he moved amendment 0592H, and he's already explained it. So do you want to explain it again?
I mean, again, this is just a tool for municipalities. It's enabling. It just is. It gives municipalities more flexibility. That's it.
Wonderful. Any other discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor of amendment 2026-0592H, please raise your hand. Those opposed? Amendment is adopted 17-0. Next up is the ought to pass as amended motion with 0592H. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll have the clerk call the roll. Motion is OTPA.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Boyer,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles, absent. Representative Minor,
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes. Representative Page,
Yes.
Representative Newell,
Yes.
Representative Reed,
Yes.
Representative Horrigan,
Yes.
Representative Hicks,
Yes.
Representative Howland,
Yes.
Representative Hegner,
Yes.
Representative Kerwin,
Yes.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes.
17.
Motion carries 17-0. Any objections going on consent? Seeing none, we'll put it on consent. Representative Howland, you'll write the report, please. Okay, next up, I would like to open up the executive session on HB 1432 and call on Representative Cole for a motion.
Make a motion of ITL.
And I will second that. Representative Cole, you're recognized to speak.
Just give the three highlights on this. It undermines established rate setting authority and cost allocation principles, creates verification loopholes and enforcement concerns, and prior committee rejection signals unresolved technical and policy flaws. The crux of the matter is that this problem is already being addressed privately, so we do not need the legislation.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, I think the public hearing was very helpful because the Unitil people said that this was an issue that they were already addressing in the private sector. So I don't think at this time we need to make these changes. So thank you, Representative Cole. Other discussion on this bill? David, no? Yeah? Representative Page?
I won't be supporting the ITL motion. I understand the perspective that we believe this may be solved without legislation. However, I'm sure we can all think of instances where somebody came and said that, and then what was said did not actually end up happening in practice. I think this is a good safeguard to get it done this way. I think some of the critiques I heard in testimony were easily disproven. So I think it's a good bill to support personally. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? I don't see any. We'll have the clerk call the roll. Motion is ITL.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton. Yes. Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Bollier,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles,
Ye-
absent, Representative Minor,
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes, Representative Page,
No.
Representative Newell,
No.
Representative Reed,
No.
Representative Horrigan,
No.
Representative Hicks,
No.
Representative Howland,
Nope.
Representative Hegner,
No.
Representative Kerwin,
No.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes. Motion carries
9-8.
9-8. Representative Cole will write the majority report. Will there be a minority report? Representative Hegner will write the minority report. And what is the motion? Great. Thank you. Okay, next up is HB 1588. I would like to recognize myself. I move ought to pass. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Representative Bollier seconds. Very briefly, I think Representative Sweeney outlined why this bill is an innovative solution to our housing shortage, and it gives more tools for municipalities. So for that reason, I think it's a good bill, and I think we should move forward with any option that doesn't increase taxes or raise government spending. I think is a good thing to help ease the housing shortage. So I ask the committee support my motion. I don't see any discussion. Great. We'll have the clerk call the roll when she's ready. Motion is ought to pass.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Bollier,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles, absent, Representative Minor,
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes, Representative Page,
Yes.
Representative Newell,
Yes.
Representative Reed,
Yes.
Representative Horrigan,
Yes.
Representative Hicks.
Yes.
Representative Howland,
Yes.
Representative Hegner.
Yes.
Representative Kerwin.
Yes.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes.
17-0.
Motion carries 17-0. Any objections going on consent? Seeing none, we'll put this on consent, and I will write the report. Next, I'd like to open up the executive session on HB 1726 and recognize Representative Cole to make a motion.
Make a motion of ought to pass.
And Representative Reinfurt, would you like to second that?
I'll second.
Representative Cole moves ought to pass. Representative Reinfurt seconds. Representative Cole, would you like to move an amendment?
Yes, as soon as I can find the amendment number.
The amendment number is 0966H.
966H.
0966H. I have a Google sheet. Anybody's looking? Just a Republican Google sheet, so that's it.
There we go. So HB 1726. This This provides needed funding for the transportation infrastructure in the state of New Hampshire. When surplus land is originally acquired with the transportation funds, it's sold. The proceeds should return to the same fund. New Hampshire Department of Transportation has significant ongoing obligations to maintain roads, bridges, and critical infrastructure across the state. Allowing sales to proceeds to be credited back to the original funding ensures that those dollars are reinvested where they're intended. Support road maintenance, long-term transportation needs without raising new taxes. This puts surplus property back into productive use. Currently, this NHDOT has 700 parcels of land in the state on the books. These are large parcels of land along highways and encourage economic development and housing opportunities. Many surplus parcels can be repurposed for commercial or residential development, helping expand tax base, create jobs, and increase the housing supply.
Other discussion on this amendment? Is this Representative Page?
Thank you. I want to chime in part because looking at my handy Google sheet that I shared with my team, I realized I accidentally deleted this from the sheet. And I want to say that I both support the underlying bill, but also recognizing what our numbers are today, and that I support the amendment as well, that I'll support the amendment and OTPA motion on this bill.
Great. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none is a show of hands, okay? Okay, all those in favor of... Oh, Representative Reed, would you like to speak? No. She was raising her hand for the amendment. Oh, okay. All those in favor of 2026-0966H, please raise your hand. Those opposed? That's unanimous, 17-0. The motion is ought to pass as amended with amendment number 0966H. If there's no other discussion, I'll have the clerk call the roll.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Bollier,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles, absent. Representative Minor,
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes. Representative Page,
Yes.
Representative Newell,
Yes.
Representative Reed,
Yes.
Representative Horrigan,
Yes.
Representative Hicks.
Yes.
Representative Howland,
Yes.
Representative Hegner.
Yes.
Representative Kerwin,
Yes.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes.
17-0.
Motion carries 17-0. Any objections going on consent? Seeing none, we'll put this on consent. Representative Cole will write the report. The next bill is HB 1713. Representative Cole, you're recognized for another motion.
Make a motion of ITL.
Representative Reinfurt
I second.
seconds that. Motion is ITL. Go ahead, Representative Cole.
This bill just copies what the previous bill was, so there's no need for this bill anymore.
Great. All right. Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll have the clerk call the roll. Do you want to speak? Oh, okay. No problem.
Actually, let me
Representative Page.
Yes. Let me just chime in because to make sure everyone's following along. We had intended to support an amendment on this bill, which we just passed on another bill. So we can now ITL this bill in my estimation. So thank you.
That's on the Google sheet, right? Yes, perfect. All right. Go ahead, Representative Reinfurt.
All right. Vice Chairman Cole.
Yes.
Representative Thaxton.
Yes.
Representative Aaron.
Yes.
Representative Bollier.
Yes.
Representative Dumont.
Yes.
Representative Grant.
Yes.
Representative Miles, absent. Representative Minor.
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes. Representative Page.
Yes.
Representative Newell.
Yes.
Representative Reed.
Yes.
Representative Horrigan.
Yes.
Representative Hicks.
Yes.
Representative Howland.
Yes.
Representative Hegner.
Yes.
Representative Kerwin.
Yes.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes. Motion carries 17-0. Representative Cole, will you write the report?
Sure.
Any objections going on consent? We'll leave it on consent. Perfect. All right. The final bill in my calculation is HB 1681. I'd like to open up the executive session and recognize Representative Aaron for a motion.
I move OTPA on 1681, and I have an amendment 0998H.
Representative Aaron moves ought to pass, and Representative Grant
I second that.
seconds that. And now Representative Aaron moves amendment number 0998H, and Representative Grant seconds that again.
And I second that.
perfect. Representative Aaron, you're recognized to speak to your amendment.
My amendment changed some of the wording of the bill as requested by the state fire marshal and by DES and by the building inspectors so that it is more in line with existing RSAs and doesn't conflict with other building inspection regulations. The fact that this is agreed upon by all those parties, I agree on that amendment.
Other comments on this?
Yeah, I'll make, yeah, I think we fell into, followed all the state regulations. Also, the Department of Building, just agreed they're going to change part of their laws to adapt to this bill.
The building code you're talking about? Yep. Okay, Representative Page.
Thank you. So we had heard before that some of these organizations had objections to this, but my understanding is that you have spoken with them and they're now neutral on this bill with those changes. Is that correct? Some of the organizations you mentioned?
Yeah, I would actually refer you to an email that we received in. I just sent it to the Housing Committee. It's by Scott Tenney from the Building Officials Association. They're saying with the amendment language, they are now neutral on the bill. I will say that I think that there was a lot of like hooting and hollering by the municipal association. I don't understand why. I think this is part of the reason why there's a housing shortage, is because they're no in any single proposal for housing. They're a no on. They don't want to get to yes. There are other stakeholders that do want to get to yes, like the building officials, like the fire marshal, like those groups. And, you know, for the record, I mean, this bill is pretty straightforward. It allows municipalities to allow it. It's a may. Like, I mean, this committee's passed shalls before, and they've passed the full house. This is not even close to that, even though I would personally support changing it to shall, but it's not even as aggressive as, you know, other bills that this committee has passed. And for NHMA to come out and oppose it the way they do so vehemently tells me that they're really not serious about this. So I think I want to applaud Representative Aaron, who's been working on this for months, Representative Grant for putting it in. And I think it's a good bill that moves us in the right direction. I think tiny houses are really neat. If you guys remember, this committee went to go see one. I think yurts are really cool. If a town wants to allow a yurt on a single family lot, let them do it. I mean, they don't have to, but let them do it if they want to do it. I don't understand the opposition to this bill, if there is any. I don't think this committee will oppose it, but there may be some. So thank you, Representative Aaron. Go ahead. I'm done rambling.
The fact that the building inspectors and the fire marshal agree with this bill tells you that these tiny homes and yurts are not somebody building a tiny home with pallets. They have to they have to agree to the building code. So it's got to be much safer than anything else.
Does anybody else? Did you have anything, Representative Page? You already spoke. Okay, great. Okay, all those in favor of the amendment 2026-0998H, please raise your hand. Those opposed? Amendment carries 17-0. Is there any other discussion on the bill as now amended by 0998H? Okay, seeing none, we're going to have the clerk call the roll.
Vice Chairman Cole?
Yes.
Representative Thaxton?
Yes.
Representative Aaron?
Yes.
Representative Bollier?
Yes.
Representative Dumont?
Yes.
Representative Grant?
Yes.
Representative Miles absent. Representative Minor?
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes. Representative Page?
Yes.
Representative Newell?
Yes.
Representative Reed?
Yes.
Representative Horrigan?
Yes.
Representative Hicks?
Yes.
Representative Howland?
Yes.
Representative Hegner?
Yes.
Representative Kerwin?
Yes.
Chairman Alexander?
Yes.
17.
Motion carries 17-0. Representative Aaron, would you like to write the report?
I would love to.
Wonderful. You are responsible.
It's
I hope
Any
you talk about
objections,
pallets in there.
Yeah, please don't. Yeah, if you want to mention pallets and then any of my rambling, go ahead and doing that. You can view the video later. Okay, seeing no objection, this will go on consent. The last bill I have is HB 1375, I'd like to open up the executive session and recognize Representative Minor for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I vote ITL. I just don't see this as a huge problem, and I would say that prohibiting landlords from making decisions on things that they want to use to screen their tenants, circumstances change. They may need to do
Hold on one second. I'm sorry. Representative Minor moves ITL. Is there a second?
Oh, sorry.
I second that.
It's okay.
sorry.
Representative Grant seconds it. Go ahead, Representative Minor.
Let's start over.
No. No.
And also, I think that everyone's circumstances change from even month to month. And honestly, I don't see it as a huge problem. I don't think that landlords even want to do all the work of doing multiple screenings to charge them for an extra thing. I just think it's
Okay.
not a great idea.
Thank you. Representative Page.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with much of what the representative just said, and I don't think it's a widespread problem. But I think what we have is we have documented cases of folks doing this when they have multiple units, right? I know I spoke with some on all of our landlord tenant bills. I speak with landlords in my area and get their feedback. And generally on this bill, it was like, well, this wouldn't impact me because it's not something I would do. But we know that it is something that a small number of folks are doing and that that's posing a problem. So I guess that would be my only point on this. I agree that the frequency of the problem is not great, but it's a real problem for those it's impacting in a small number of cases would be my 2 cents. Thank you.
Representative Reed.
Thank you. Again, totally agree that it's not happening in the majority of cases, but we did hear anecdotal evidence, or I heard anecdotal evidence directly from the Front Door Agency that they had experienced this in real world cases. And during the hearing, as I recall, the chair agreed to 60 days. The mortgage limit is 90 days. So I think 60 days is very reasonable. And we do have an amendment here to change it to 60 days. So if we overturn the ITL motion, we could consider that very simple amendment. You can still do it. You just have to wait 60 days before you charge them again.
Briefly, Representative Reed, I am in favor of that. I think the problem is the way it's drafted, it imposes the penalty section on landlords.
Nope. No. I have an additional amendment that's clean of any
Which
penalties.
one are you referring to?
Amendment 0973H, which you were sent yesterday. Your name is on it, Mr. Chair.
Oh.
And and this may have been some of our miscommunication about amendments coming to you and which one OLS sent versus when. But so I'm sorry if there was confusion that you had thought there was a different amendment that had kept the reinstatement of penalties in, but 0973H only changes it to 60 days. There is no penalty in there.
No, I have it. I confused myself. Okay. The motion is ITL. Is there other discussion on that? Representative Bollier.
Yeah, I just wanted to say every single time we, put one of these things into laws, even if it's in a really minor way, there could be economic activity that's happening that could be completely rational given the circumstances, given that particular landlord, given those, particular tenants. So to hold everybody, say, oh no, you can't do this, you can't do that. Every time we enact one of these restrictions, it's like a bleed by 1,000 cuts, and that could potentially be one less person who decides it's worthwhile to be a landlord in New Hampshire because of the regulation, one less unit that they decide to put onto the market. So given the circumstances and the purported benefit of this versus the purported harm, I'm in favor of ITL.
Representative Horrigan and Representative Reed.
Yes, I understand being a landlord is not an easy business, but it is, at least the way the current market is, it's very profitable. The rents they're able to charge are very high. And I know having these applications processed is one of the legitimate expenses, but this is something which is for the benefit of the landlord, not the tenant. So there may be some value to charging tenants a nominal fee so you don't get totally unqualified tenants applying just for the fun of it or whatever. But I think this is a cost that the landlord should be covering out of the rent along with a host of other things. So this is really not something that it's fair to charge. Well, it's not even a current tenant; it'd be a prospective tenant. So I don't think. So I think. So I don't. I think this bill is. So I think. Yeah. So I think it's. I think that's an abusive practice. Charging tenants multiple application fees for the same property. So.
Representative Reed.
I would like to raise the other side of the equation to Rep. Bollier's comments, which is every fee that gets put on a person who's looking for housing adds up to a death by 1,000 cuts. Every time someone is taking money just for the sake of taking money, they don't need to. They already have their application. They already have their background check from the last 60 days. The mortgage industry does this every 90 days and they're not dying. So I don't think that it's fair to say that we can death by 1,000 cuts on these tenants who are just looking for housing. And there's a reason we have these laws. There's a reason we have all these laws, because there are bad actors and we try to protect people from those bad actors. That's the whole point of being in government.
Representative Dumont.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The one main reason why I'm against this bill is that it specifies landlord or agent. An agent can manage or take in applications for multiple different buildings, therefore being under different property owners. And in that case, they wouldn't have to do that. They wouldn't be able to accept a fee. You're tying their hands whether or not they manage more than one building. So for that reason, I would support the ITL.
Go ahead.
So thank you for pointing that out, Representative Dumont. In my original, so there's been like 4 amendments to this that I've drafted. I actually resolved that part, and in this last one, I didn't. So what I would ask respectfully is that you give me just a little bit of time to come back and get this done.
Representative Bollier.
Yeah, thank you. I don't want to drag out the conversation longer, but just one of the, striking the things. I get that it's really tough out there for tenants, but here's the key difference. If you pass this bill, a landlord is prohibited by law. If a tenant does not like an application fee, they can choose not to apply. So one person is being coerced, the other person is not.
Okay. Representative Minor moved ITL. Representative Reed, respectfully, you drafting a floor amendment is possible, but we're going to move forward with the ITL today because we only have 2 bills.
Taken the vote yet,
Right.
Mr. Chair.
Well, we're gonna move forward with the vote. Okay, motion is ITL. I wonder what the vote's going to be. I'll have the clerk call the roll.
I can't wait until next term to make those jokes.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton, Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Bollier,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles absent, Representative Minor,
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes, Representative Page,
No.
Representative Newell,
No.
Representative Reed,
No.
Representative Horrigan,
No.
Representative Hicks,
No.
Representative Howland,
No.
Representative Hegner,
No.
Representative Kerwin,
No.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes.
98.
Motion carries 9-8. Representative Minor is responsible for the majority report. Will there be a minority report?
Representative Reed will write a minority report, and she will provide the amendment number.
Okay, Representative Reed, if you can get me the amendment number in your minority report by the end of today, that'd be great. And the motion will be OTBA. Okay, the final bill is HB 1709. I had recessed that, but I want to reopen the executive session on HB 1709. There's a motion on the floor by Representative Bollier to move Amendment 2026-0943H. Is there any more discussion on Representative Bollier's amendment? Okay, seeing none, is a show of hands okay on the amendment? All those in favor of Amendment 2026-0943H, raise your hand. Those opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. So now we're at the ought to pass as amended motion. Is there any discussion on this? Representative Howland.
So believe it or not, this has actually come up quite a bit. So I pulled up ICE's detention policy, and when you do so, if authorities came upon a person at an apartment that was a convicted felon, that's an illegal alien, they would not need any housing because we would provide it. They would immediately be taken into custody and they would be placed into jail. They are not considered to be a low risk offender. Under ICE's policy, they would obviously meet the problem of public safety. So there really, there really is no need for this because they already are incarcerated and they wouldn't need the apartment. So while I appreciate the intention of this, there really is no need for this.
Representative Bollier. Representative Howland can answer it if he wants.
Yeah. Okay. So my follow-up question on that is, so when you talk about, are you talking about just ICE? Or are you talking about local law enforcement?
Well, I'm talking about ICE actually, because it's ICE's detention policy. I guess the thought process here is, if local law enforcement came upon a convicted felon that's illegally in there, likely they would notify ICE that they have a high risk, and it is a high risk person, and they would be placed in detention. And we've had that. The discussion has really been, and I thought what was thoughtfully put through in your amendment is low risk offenders. ICE has the discretion of saying that jail is not the right place for them, and they could be staying in their apartment. And so they would be under the original bill, they would be at risk of eviction, even though ICE has said that they could stay in the apartment. Your amendment would take them out, which is good, but the high offenders that you're talking about evicting would already be evicted because they'd be placed in jail.
Representative.
So just a follow-up to that. So one of the reasons I put that in is obviously ICE can't be everywhere all the time. And I think the minority would appreciate not having ICE everywhere all the time. So the thought behind this bill would be, if local law enforcement comes across, they're already authorized under federal law to do this, but it says if also authorized by state law. So this would create that state law counterpart to what's already in 8 USC 1252C. So you're right. There could be situations where it's high risk and they do call in ICE. It could be a situation where they happen to be serving the writ of possession. There's no need to call ICE. Let's take care of it right now with local law enforcement that has the resources to do it. So I do think this legislation is necessary, especially because oftentimes ICE doesn't know where these people are, but local law enforcement could interact with them, and this could be one of the ways they interact with them. So for that reason, I think it is necessary.
Representative Bollier, can you answer this question for me? What happens in a case? So with this amendment on line 18, it says a sheriff shall. What happens in a case where you have a militant sheriff that doesn't want to enforce U.S. immigration policy, which we've seen that around the country, and we could have some in this state?
So my understanding is based on legislation that's already been passed. It's, there is discretion to where if it's not safe or it's not somehow within their ability to do so, there's some discretion there. But my understanding is New Hampshire policy is that local law enforcement is expected to cooperate this with our anti-sanctuary bill that's already been passed. That's not a discretion that's available.
Thank you, Representative Thaxton. Do you have something? Sorry, his hand was up first.
Well, I do.
Okay.
And I think it's important that we pass this because there's another consideration. From a landlord's perspective, yes, it's fine that ICE may have arrested this person or taken them away and they were providing them housing, as you say. But there's also a due process issue where I, as a landlord, I'm still bound by the law. I still have a contract for services. The eviction process has not been completed. And just because he's been removed to Guatemala doesn't mean he's not paying his rent. Or he may be paying his rent, or he may not be paying his rent. But I just can't take his stuff and throw it in the snow as a landlord. That's not legal. And what if he comes back? So this bill, as reformatted, I believe provides better clarity for me as a landlord on where I stand with the termination of the relationship. So that's what I have to say.
Representative Page, you have a question?
I do.
Go ahead.
Specific to what was.
Yep.
Thank you. I'm trying to see in the bill where it's clarifying that point that the contract is now null and void. Like I don't see that here, that piece.
Representative Bollier.
So if I could speak to that, and that is a great point by Representative Thaxton. So our court system is not going to enforce a contract which is for an illegal purpose. So if this law is adopted and it's illegal for them to occupy, then a court is not going to uphold a lease agreement for a purpose which is against New Hampshire law.
Representative Reed and then Representative Horgan.
Thank you. I'm a little confused because you said they may be paying that rent, they may not be paying rent, but if they're not paying rent, presumably if they're arrested under this, then you would have the right to evict, and then you have to hold on to the property for like 7 days or something. It's 7 days is not correct. Maybe someone can correct me.
I can correct you on it. If they haven't paid, if they don't pay their rent, I would have to serve them, whether I know where they are or not, and they have 7 days to remedy the reason for service. And then, if they don't remedy the 7 days, that whatever the issue is, in this case, your reference is non-payment, then I would have a basis to go to the sheriff and have them served and ask for a hearing. Depending upon which county you're in and which part of which county you're in, that could be anywhere from 20 to 45 days. And then I would then have the right for a hearing on the merits before the district court. So in that time frame, as a landlord, even though I know he's gone, I say he, but that person is gone, even though I know that person is gone, I cannot legally access that property.
I understand that. I was talking about after that process is, I think there is
Well,
a
and if-
stipulation that whatever they don't take, you don't move for 7 days, you put somewhere else for 7 days,
Oh.
and then you can dispose of it.
Well, I have to go through that process of getting possession of the property. Then, yes, then I can throw their stuff out, but I'm concerned about that front-loaded period of time.
I just don't think this is necessary because if someone has been convicted and deported and is back here illegally and is known by the Department of Homeland Security that their status is illegal, then if law enforcement, I understand Mr. Chair's point that some sheriffs may not, but they're not forced to they're not forced to arrest under this. It's the extent possible in their ability to safely do, right? I will also add that under the Castle Rock decision, that law enforcement isn't even apparently required to protect the citizenry. So I don't know why they're required to do the bidding of ICE, but I just don't think this is necessary. And I don't know why, because I think Rep. Bollier had mentioned something along the lines of, well, if they come into knowledge naturally through their business, right? That's something you had mentioned. But this seems to me that this just wants people to like try to call ICE on their neighbors. That seems to be the intent here. So for those reasons, I can't, even though I thought that Rep. Bollier did a very good job as a lawyer making the bill better. And I think, if we weren't in a situation where our immigration policies have been weaponized against people and tensions are high, I think 20 years ago there may have been room to talk about this in more detail. I don't think that this is fair to people, and I don't think it's needed because it's already covered in our current law.
Representative Horgan, then Representative Dumont.
Yes, well, I'm just a guest here, so I'm not a subject matter on this area, although I did serve on judiciary, which used to deal with this subject matter. So I checked, this RSA is primarily about tenants in residential housing, but this amendment is written, and it seems to also includes occupancy of real properties. That includes, seems to me the way I read it, if somebody who's a quote unquote illegal alien who's already in a lot of trouble, if they own the property, apparently that can be an offense if they're continuing to occupy the property they own. It seems to me it also covers commercial properties if the person has a business, or even doing something as simple as like say, working as a hairdresser and renting space in a salon or renting a storage unit. So it takes in a large number of situations other than residential tenancy. And I'm wondering what the unintended consequences of that could be. And in any case, I feel comfortable voting against this also because aside from these doubts I have about what the effect of it would be, any person this applies to, we're adding a Class A misdemeanor charge, but that's on top of somebody who's, first of all, quite possibly being deported, maybe not necessarily to their home country, but also like somebody who's in a lot of trouble for other things. So I'm not really sure what value adding this one punishment does on top of all the other difficulties that this individual who's fallen afoul justly or unjustly with ICE. I'm not sure what it adds, what deterrent value it has. So I'm just not sure what the point of charging people a Class A misdemeanor for simply occupying rental property, on top of all the other legal difficulties they're obviously facing. So I feel comfortable, even though I voted for the amendment, I feel comfortable voting for the bill, voting against the bill as amended. So, and I apologize for going on about it. I'm not really the subject matter expert here, but thanks.
Representative Dumont.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief. I just wanted to state my support for the bill. We heard testimony in the previous executive session that we need to root out bad actors, and I think that this is exactly what this does. I think that there is a use for it. It happens from case to case basis, and I support the work that Representative Bollier put into it.
I think this goes along the line of if you're illegal, you're not welcome here, and especially the fact if you're a violent, deported illegal alien, you're not welcome here. And I think that we should be sending that message that we're going to keep Granite State citizens safe by continuing to enforce our federal immigration laws. So thank you, Representative Bollier. If there's no other discussion, we'll have the clerk call the roll. Motion is ought to pass as amended with 0943H.
Vice Chairman Cole,
Yes.
Representative Thaxton,
Yes.
Representative Aaron,
Yes.
Representative Bollier,
Yes.
Representative Dumont,
Yes.
Representative Grant,
Yes.
Representative Miles, absent. Representative Minor.
Yes.
Clerk Reinfurt, yes. Representative Page,
No.
Representative Newell,
No.
Representative Reed,
No.
Representative Horrigan,
No.
Representative Hicks,
No.
Representative Howland,
No.
Representative Hegner,
No.
Representative Kerwin,
No.
Chairman Alexander.
Yes. Motion carries 9-8. Representative Bollier will write the majority report. Will there be a minority report? Yes. Representative Howland will write the minority report. Motion will be ITL. Okay, and perfect. I think that concludes all our business for the day. Thank you. It only took 2.5 hours, so I want to thank the committee. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. I'll see you all on Thursday. Thank you. Oh, reports in. Okay, thank you. Today, please.
If we can